Hey, everybody, and welcome back to I Will Go Down with the Ship. My name is Heather,
And my name is Chelsea.
and welcome back. We are so excited to dive into this episode. But first, I am in mourning because my Packers are not going into the playoffs, which is a bummer. My husband's happy because the Rams are. Chelsea, are you following any football?
I like literally all I care about is the Saints, and we're not in this, so nah.
Okay, makes sense. Um, I think, I mean, I'll have to root for the Rams just because my husband is, but anyway. All right, so before we jump into this episode, we got a couple of comments on our last video for episode 3, and we just kind of want to go through them, touch on them, and see if there are any questions or anything to really expand on. So our first comment, and if I'm pronouncing this wrong, I'm sorry, but Bob Joe 8601, in response to Chelsea's question about what the whole, maybe something stupid line, um, they put that they flashed back to the episode before when he said maybe something stupid to when he told Lucy he was like her before the war. He was stupid. And they took him saying that him turning over the info to the NCR and causing chaos with the Legion to save Lucy as something he would do before the war, and he was recognizing his actions there as something past him would do. So Lucy is connecting him more with his past humanity. It was him killing two men to save the one, him acting out of care for someone versus him making the uncaring decision of letting Lucy die. Chelsea, what do you think about this?
I absolutely agree with that. That makes total sense.
I actually really like that too. I really like that flashback to himself. I think that, yeah, like you said, I think that makes a lot of sense, and he recognizes it, and I think that that scares him a little bit. Like he recognizes that his actions were similar to not Ghoul, but Cooper Howard. And Cooper Howard is someone he has tried to bury for so long that she's starting to bring it out of him. And I think that that really bothers him. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
100% agree.
And then Cuttlefish decided to give us another comment. So thank you. And they put, thanks for going into the question so much. Yeah, we can't wait to talk about episode 4 either. Um, okay, so they put, I get that they were traveling for a while, but a bit it felt like they set Lucy back, but then again it builds rapport. And I agree with that. What about you, Chelsea? It,
I also agree. And
it yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I don't think it's necessarily retconning
Right.
anything.
No.
It's just like we didn't get to see any
Yeah.
of that was going on.
And I think that, like you said, because we didn't get to see any of that, it feels like a setback, but it builds rapport, like the commenter said.
Yep.
And it's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's frustrating, it's just maybe slightly disappointing that we don't get to see that. Um, and then they continue, yes, they totally are trusting each other to fight like that, and I think it's great fun. I just wish they would have shown a bit more before arriving at that point. Yeah, I think we both agree with that as
We
well.
agree 1,000%. Yeah. And if Amazon is listening, this would make some great bonus content or bonus material after the season. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if y'all
Um,
did any filming of anything like that, I would love
yeah,
to see
any
it.
cut scenes. Um, then again, I love that the actors get along well together. It's such fun seeing actors build that kind of rapport. They had to choose when and how to progress the story. It pains me that we are already halfway through, but the thought of a New Year's season 3 is really perking me up. About Cooper telling Dogmeat about ships and planks. This is a nod to the games as well. Okay. Dogmeat is kind of a ship with all its planks replaced as Dogmeat is always a dog throughout the game and its timeline following the main character. I did not know that. So fun
Yep.
fact. There's many versions of dog meat. She or he is not one dog. The dog is kind of an archetype, offering companionship and protection to the player's character if they choose to let the dog follow them. It's kind of poetic as dog meat is not just one dog in the games or as animal actors playing or working with the cast. You could say the ghoul broke the third wall with that comment, which I found hilarious. I didn't realize that. So that's a good, like that. That's for someone who doesn't play the game, that's very interesting and very, like a very cute Easter egg. I like that.
Right. And for me, I've only played Fallout 4. and like I still have not finished playing Fallout 4 because I always start it and then I have to put it down because I'm working on something else like a book or whatnot, and then I have to come back to it and I don't remember how to do anything, so I have to start over. So I've played the beginning of Fallout 4 like umpteen times now and I've never finished it.
It's funny because I was talking to my dad, and of course we were talking about Fallout, and he plays the games. So my dad listens, so shout out to my dad. But he was saying, and we'll kind of go into this in this episode, he was actually upset because the Kings are apparently, from what he says in the games, they're not actually ghouls. Like they're just Elvis impersonators. And so he was like, that's not canon. And I was like, oh my gosh, dad, like that's hilarious.
I
So
love that your dad knows
my
that.
that's like my fun fact that I got from my dad. So apparently the Kings were not ghoul, as far as I know. I mean, I'm just going off of the word of my dad. But okay, besides that, Chelsea, before we get into episode 4, do you have any comments or updates or questions or anything like that? Because this is going to be a fun episode, so.
I don't. I think I'm ready to dive in, like get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the episode title is The Demon in the Snow. And I love these episode titles because I feel like you have the obvious of who like what the title means, but then there are layers to it. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
and as we go through this, I really want to discuss the title because I think it has those layers. But basically, we open up and we get to see pre-bombs Cooper Howard in the war in Alaska, fighting the Chinese soldiers. And what's interesting, okay, I have a question because I've read fanfic and I don't actually know the answer. Does Cooper Howard fight in the war before he becomes an actor? Or is he an actor, he goes to fight in the war, and then he continues to be an actor after the war? Because clearly in this scene, we know that Barb and Cooper are married. They are married, or at least dating or serious, because Charlie mentions her. Um,
Right.
so do you happen to know, like, I assumed that he was an actor and he got really patriotic and then enlisted because no shade to Walton Goggins, he's like older, so he wouldn't necessarily have been drafted unless, of course, it's some kind of, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there
Right.
are different rules or whatever in this particular world. But I was just curious, like, do you happen to know?
I don't happen to know, but I feel like it's a situation kind of similar to Jimmy Stewart, like
Yeah,
who like
that's what
was
I
an
thought.
actor and then decided to go to
And
war for
yeah.
patriotism and then came back to being an actor afterward.
Okay, so Jimmy Stewart was an actor and then left and then came back as an actor, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I'd
okay.
like I might be like, don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it worked.
If you guys know, leave a comment because I've read fanfic where it says he becomes an actor after, and I've read fanfic where he is an actor and then and I'm just curious if anyone knows like the actual thing. Okay. But anyway, this is a pretty important scene, and I love it because we see how shitty the fucking T-45s are,
Yeah.
and that they're sending the soldiers in with this shitty technology. And when Cooper is basically saying, hey, he calls in, he's like, we're experiencing equipment malfunction. I don't see any signs of Raider 3. Can we request permission to basically come back? And they're like, fuck you, denied. They don't actually
Yeah.
say fuck you, but it's
It's
just
a very fuck you gesture though.
yeah, totally, totally. Um, and I mean, it's so typical Cooper Howard, and this is why, especially after watching episode 4, that whole stupid comment really resonates because he does something so Cooper Howard. He sends Charlie away,
Yeah.
um, to protect him and to save him or whatever. Um, and I love that Charlie's basically like, you better be right behind me. Barb will kill me if I let your ass freeze. And so, I just think that that's really cute.
That
Um,
was an adorable line. I liked that
I
a
thought
lot.
so. And it's the establishment of the relationship, and that's what makes it even more tragic. Like, yeah, because clearly they're all friends and they have this nice rapport and everything. But then we see that his armor like I think the Chinese soldiers come out and his armor fails him and he like cannot fucking move. It's so funny. Like
It's
it's not
very
funny,
Tin
but it's
Man.
so funny. Yeah, very Tin Man. Um and then we see the Chinese soldiers and they come out and what was interesting is the leader is basically in Mandarin basically saying, like they put you in this armor and we're gonna have to do it too. The future is here. Um but what was crazy is the lore of the Okie dokie. Like I was like, oh shit. And it made
Right?
me wonder like every time Lucy does her okie dokie, is he experiencing some kind of PTSD? It almost makes me want to like go back and how does he react to her okie dokie? Does he get pissed off? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
um, and
Because
then
it has to be really surreal for him.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then Chelsea, what does Cooper see as the Chinese soldiers kind of talk to each other? And it's like off to the side. They have no idea what's
Right.
going on until
He
like Cooper's
sees
watching.
the silhouette of a death claw,
Hmm.
which I find it interesting that that existed before the bombs dropped.
Right?
Because I had always kind of assumed that they were a product of radiation. But are they like a government experiment? Are they a Vault Tech experiment? Like, technically, what are the death claws? Because there's a lot that I've done that, like, I haven't. Like I said, I've played the beginning of Fallout 4 like several times, but I haven't played any of the other games. And I would really like to know like what is the origin of the Deathclaw? Is it a Vault Tech experiment? Like what is the situation there? Because it seems to have like it's not that animalistic to me the way it's played. Like it seems to have at least some level of sentience and
Mhm.
decision-making skills.
Yeah. What? Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Why do you think, okay, just to recap really quick, the Death Claw kills the three Chinese soldiers, but he goes to Cooper. We see him sniff his face, and at this point, it's not like he's still encased in the armor, but his like face is showing.
Right.
His bare face is showing. So, do you think that he recognizes Cooper's scent? Do you think like as either this is gonna be so weird, as either American or as Cooper Howard, is he not picking up the human scent and just smells the armor and that's why he kind of leaves? Like what are you thinking when he sniffs and then leaves?
Right, like I was wondering so hard about that and like why. And like is it a situation of like it's been trained to only attack the enemy and it's like some kind of mutant experiment
Yeah,
and it has been trained specifically on enemy sense and like Cooper smells familiar so he's not going to attack Cooper, or is it like some other situation? I really don't know. And like I would love to have the answers to these questions. So if anybody actually knows, please like educate us in the comments because we are
we
primarily
don't.
here as writers and we
Right.
just enjoyers of the show, and like I'm a very lazy bad gamer and I've started Fallout 4 like 87 times and never finished it. So
Right.
help a girl out.
Yeah, we want to understand just from a storytelling point of view. Okay, so we after it kind of walks away, we hear that, oh, it appears the Reds are in retreat, the island is secure, you did it. And Cooper's like,
We didn't do it.
we did not do it. It wasn't us, it was something else. And so that kind of implies that the death clause are something created by the United States or something. Like if the implication is they are the ones that caused the Reds to retreat, then it feels like Cooper might be believing that this is some kind of byproduct or mutant or something almost like a weaponization of something for the United States.
Right? Like was it a genetically engineered weapon?
Right.
Like we
It's
don't really
just
know.
interesting. We have no idea. And at least from the show canon, sorry, Dad, show canon, the implication seems to be, and this is from Cooper's point of view. He could be an unreliable narrator. We don't really know right now, but that seems to be the implication. So then we flash back to Max and Thaddeus, and really quick recap. Max kills fuck, what's his Xander
Xander,
Harkness because Harkness was gonna be an asshole and shoot ghoul kids and fucking Thaddeus, and Max was not having it. Um
which thank you, Max. I'm like,
I he it's like I feel so bad for him because he's doing the right things, but there's always a terrible consequence for him.
right, like he
Like,
always has to pay so dearly for trying his best to do the right thing. And I'm like, can he please catch a break?
oh,
Golly.
speaking of which, we're gonna do a quick sidetrack to bullshit really quick because I was having this debate with my dad and I need your input. Okay,
Okay.
how long do you think Lucy was hanging on that cross for?
Um, to me, like it could have been a couple of days
That's literally
before
what my
Cooper
dad
caught up.
said. My dad said the same thing. Because I was like, because I was going into like what we talked about how, like, for the lesion, that's pretty mild. And he's like, well, she was hanging on a cross for 2 days. And I was like, to me, it felt like a few hours. Like, and I don't know, because I never saw it get to night. It was
Right.
always sunny. So that's why I just assumed it was like a few
Like the same
hours.
day. Like I was assuming she'd been up there for a couple days, just judging by how dehydrated she
That's what
looked.
my dad said too. Like she couldn't stand when she fell. Like they needed to give her so much drugs, which we'll get into in a little bit. Like to get, she was out for 2 days.
Yeah,
They
like she
needed,
had to have so much buff out. Yeah.
but I
Like
think
I feel like she was up there for a minimum of 48 hours and possibly longer.
it makes sense that you guys say that. I just wish I would have seen like Cooper talking to the NCR at night then. Like because it was
Right.
the whole episode was during the day. I mean, and if we're going to go with the logistics of even if the quest that Max is on, if we're talking about timeline being the same as Lucy and Cooper, Max, like that all happened within the span of 1 day. Like we are still technically in the same day. And Cooper, we're assuming when Lucy wakes up, which we'll get into, it's 2 days later. So I feel like the timelines aren't super
Lining up.
matchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's kind of what threw me too. Okay. So that makes sense. I will defer to you guys. I will agree with that. Um, so we get back to Thaddeus and he's like, "Well, I guess we should get back to work." Like totally not worried about a war starting or that we have a dead Commonwealth like guy. I
I
love
love Thaddeus
I love
so
him so
much.
much. Oh man. And Max is like, he's shitting bricks right now. He's like, they tracked me. And Thaddeus is like, oh yeah. Well, it was great seeing you, but you should probably go. I think you should get out of here. He's basically like, get the fuck out, Max. Like
Right?
you're
Like,
basically dragging more Brotherhood people over here, and I have to worry about myself and a bunch of kids. But Max makes a decision, a snap decision, like, no, you have to come with me. And Thaddeus is like, wait a second. No, I don't. Um, and so yeah, we have, Max is explaining, well, he's an emissary from the Commonwealth if they find out he's dead. And Thaddeus is pretty upset, but Thaddeus, he's a good guy. Like
he is.
he has come such a long way from season one, Thaddeus.
I'm really pleased with his character growth.
Mm, hmm Me too. Another fun fact is that my dad was saying that the factory, that this is actually like kind of a side quest. Because I was like, where did they get all of this Coke? And he's like, no, it's an actual Coke factory. Like, this is like one of the side quests you go on in the game of like, you're collecting the bottle caps, and I guess you have to collect blue ones or something. I don't know.
Yeah, from the Nuka-Cola Quantum. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, so I love what they're doing. They're little Easter eggs that make sense not only for the world but for the characters. Like I can totally see Thaddeus finding himself a fucking Coke, plant or Nuka-Cola or whatever. And I just
Right.
love that. Um, so anyway, Max basically says, look, if they come here, they're going to kill half these kids and then enlist the rest of them. And Thaddeus agrees with him, but hear me out. I'm great. I'm great at running away. I'm great. I love it. I like it. Start fresh. No big deal. And this is, oh my gosh, this is, I love Max because I feel like we're starting to get, oh gosh,
Leader Max.
yeah, how am I going to say this in the right way? Like wisdom.
Yes.
Like you get what I'm saying? Like not that he wasn't stupid, but it was like I felt like Max season one
Some of the naivety is coming off. Like the
naive.
naivety has been shaved
Yes.
off.
Yes, and it's like sometimes I also feel like he was the tool, and so he would just listen to what he was because he trusted implicitly that everything was going to be right. And we still see that in this season as well, but you also see wisdom coming with it, and I love that. And he says sometimes running away is the best thing you can do, and sometimes it's not. And
Yeah.
Thaddeus is like, sucks though.
Yeah.
And it's like his lines are so perfect. I feel like he says what everyone is thinking, like,
Yes. And it's so well delivered, and I just have to
oh yeah.
like applaud how it's played. It's done so well.
And I feel like there's just this general, like, this genuine friendship between the two of them too in real life. Like, I mean, if there's not, then they do such a good job acting because, like,
Right.
it's the band, it's okay, it's the lines themselves are great, but like you said, it's the delivery and it just feels so natural. Like,
It
I love
does.
it. Yeah. Um, So then the night comes and he's basically like, "Oh, the elder cleric's pissed. You're in deep shit." And Max is like, "Our vertibird broke down. Is that true? Did it actually break down or is he bullshitting?" Like,
He's bullshitting.
I wasn't sure if he was worried that they were actually going to check to see if like it actually broke down because that's gonna be kind of hard to fake. But yeah,
Right.
anyway. And then, oh my gosh, like fucking Thaddeus trying to get out of the door. Like, I literally messaged Chelsea during this part. I'm like, Chelsea, I'm 5 minutes into this episode and I'm dying because I could not stop laughing. Like,
Ugh. I laughed so hard at
yeah.
that whole sequence. And like you know that everybody immediately suspects like something's fucking off
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, because Harkness was like the smooth operator, very silver tongue, like he knows he's the cool guy. And then
Right.
you have this guy like, "What's up, big boy? All right, let's get out of this shithole." Like, what are you saying right now, Thaddeus? Lock and load, bitches. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's so cute though.
I know. Oh, I know. Okay. Then we get over to Lucy. This, guys, okay. I want to preface this by saying that I think Chelsea and I can rightly admit that we are shippers. And a lot of the time we have our shipper goggles on and we try to take our shipper goggles off to be like, from a writing perspective, how is this going to break down? Or, okay, can we kind of see things from a different perspective? I felt, even when I take my shipper glasses off, I felt that this entire episode was very pro Goolsey. We'll talk a little caveats after we discuss the episode, but it felt like a fanfic. Like, let's be honest. Like, it felt. I don't know how to explain it. Like, Chelsea, you want to help me out here? Like, I don't.
Like it's just a vibe. Like it
Yeah.
had the like everything we love from good fanfics vibe to this episode
Yes.
in the best way possible. And I cannot wait until we get to the wink because I have like a little side story about that for you.
Okay. Okay, but so to go back to what you were saying about like it's the vibes, it's 100% the vibes. And it's like even when I take off the shipper glasses, I can't, I cannot justify certain things that happen in this episode that you can just look at as completely platonic. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a whole
Yes. Okay.
side rant with my cousin about how they are definitely not platonic, and this episode proves it.
Yes.
And she like I called her after she watched episode 4 and I was like, was I right or was I right? And she was like, you were right.
Yeah. Everyone I talk to says the same thing. So, I'm not going to say spoiler alert because obviously this whole podcast is, but if you do not ship Goolsey and you don't want to hear us talking about it, just do yourself a favor and just go. We're not trying to offend anyone, but we're gonna fucking talk the shit out of this episode because every single fucking scene was Goolsey. Okay, let's jump into it. Lucy wakes up. And we find out that the NCR are okay, that Rodriguez and I think it's Biff. Yeah, Biff, they're
Yeah.
fine. But it seems like they're packing up. So Rodriguez tells Lucy, hey, we gave you some meds, so you should be feeling a lot better than when your friend brought you in. And then right when she said friend, I'm like, oh, hell no, that is not her friend. And even then, Rodriguez is like, though, I'm not sure a friend is the right word. And I'm like, oh, hell no. You can, Chelsea, just tell me from, okay, let's take off our shipper goggles. Okay, like friend. Obvi there's a deep trust between them. And I think they're finally starting to respect each other little by little. What other word would you use for the nature of their relationship, or is there one? And that's specifically why this line of dialogue is here. Like, what
I
is the
don't
implication of that?
I don't think that there's a word for this kind of married couple energy. Like, can we invent a word
Right.
for this sort of like very simpatico type vibe that they have going on with each other? And
Be-
it's like it's more than friends, and like it's not necessarily to the point of being fully romantic yet, but it's definitely more than friendship.
Yeah. And I also think she specifically says this, and again, okay, if I take off my shipper glasses, it's okay, she could be implying that she knows the ghoul and he's not friends with people. But the fact that okay, so I was doing a lot of thinking. I mean, I watched this episode twice. Chelsea, you have to think. He had to carry her to the
Yep.
NCR because if she wakes up, that means at some point she fainted.
Yeah, it's like she was out.
And so imagine being Rodriguez for a second. You know who the ghoul is, and you see him carrying this girl and basically demanding medication for her. And like, what, like, if I'm Rodriguez, I'm like, who the fuck is this girl that has you
Right.
in a chokehold? Like, because you don't do this shit. She's probably never seen him do anything like this in however long she has known him.
Right.
And so when she says, I don't think friend is the right word, it's like I think that she knows he doesn't make friends. He is not a friendly person. And yet she uses the word too because there is some kind of relationship there that he would do something like that for her in the first
Right.
place.
And it's like it's really difficult to define.
Yes. Yeah. Um, And the interesting thing is Lucy doesn't correct it one way or the other. She doesn't say, "Oh yeah, that's my friend," but she also doesn't say, "No, that's not my friend either." It's kind of like hanging.
Left open-ended.
Yeah. And so she thanks Rodriguez and then but she's like, "Who are you?" And Rodriguez goes into the new California Republic. And basically Biff's like, don't worry, there's a lot of us. We're just not here right now. And she finds out that they're from Shady Sands. And so Lucy, it almost brings Lucy back to, oh shit, that responsibility. My dad did that, whatever's going
Right.
on here. That, like she feels partly at fault for that. Um,
Yep. She's definitely carrying the guilt from what her dad did
yes. And
because
yeah,
her
go
mother took her and Norm there and kind of set off that whole entire chain of events.
right. Um, And so then Rodriguez says some asshole saw the first sign of civilization taking shape on the wasteland in over 100 years, chose to burn it all down, obviously referring to her father.
Yep.
But then the ghoul says, well, the past is the past. Ain't that right? What do you think that line means, Chelsea? What do you think he's, implying here?
I think he's like almost giving Lucy a nudge, like, hey, don't let yourself get wrapped up in that guilt. Your dad did what he did, but like, you just kind of have to keep moving forward, but without saying all that and without revealing to these NCR people that it was her father who bombed Shady Sands.
Yeah, like almost like don't like have guilt vomit and just start saying like talking stupid shit. I
Right.
I also saw it as
It's like a verbal hand squeeze.
yes, agreed. I also think though he was also implying the same can be said for both of them. That
Yeah.
he was really shitty to her. Like he was going to sell her off for parts. And she wound up saving him. And she essentially did the same thing. Like she should have helped him over the tunic and left him, and then he wound up saving her. So it's almost like they had an honest exchange. But I
Right.
think there's that implication of, okay, we were really shitty with each other. The past is the past. Like we're gonna move on from that. Like not in a touchy-feely way because the ghoul can never just be that way. I mean, maybe Cooper Howard, but not the ghoul. But
Right.
I felt like there was a layer to that, like where it's sort of like, look, you can't control the past. Your dad did a stupid thing. You don't have to talk about it. Like we're gonna go take care of that. But you and I are also, we're equal now. Like we're on equal footing. We were both shitty. We both made up for it. Let's move on.
Yep. Absolutely. I
And,
think that's 1,000% what that is.
yeah. And so Lucy's like, okay, well, we should be going. Thank you again. We've met our fair share of people on the road from Los Angeles, and truth be told, most of them are fudging awful. So meeting you guys has been a welcome change of pace. I think this is her way of apologizing to Cooper. I think this was her saying, admitting, like, we've met a lot of people, they're fucking awful. We tried to save them and it didn't work out. And like, at least that's kind of how I took it. And maybe
Right.
that's how
Like
you
it's
took
an
it.
apology without actually saying, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Because she obviously doesn't agree with how he handled it. So she doesn't think she's all like she's completely wrong for what she's telling him. But at the same time, I think that she was humbled a lot. The fact that he
Yes.
saved her, like, okay, again, we can argue about whether he needs her or not, but Lucy does not. I don't know if she thinks that this is some kind of mutual beneficial relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they have some kind of a deal where it's like Cooper's like, I'll get you to your dad. You can decide what to do with him, but I want that. Like, I don't know if they've had that discussion. Do you get what I'm saying? Because
Right.
so like let's go into this a little bit because I've seen so many theories about episode 5 and we're not here to spoil, but like there's a lot of people saying, well, Cooper is going to betray Lucy and hand her over to Hank or something like that. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I could see that potentially happening. I don't well, we can talk about it after we get into the episode about why I don't think based on the relationship that's developed between the two that could happen, but there's shitty writing. Like apparently Stranger Things is blowing up right now because of the shitty writing. So it's not like this is impervious to other like to
Right. Just because it's been this spectacular so far doesn't mean that they can't fuck up
fuck it
at
up.
some point.
Yeah, so but I'm curious what you think about like what Lucy is implying here in terms of like but just a matter of do you think that in that space that we haven't seen, do you think that Lucy, because Lucy isn't going to automatically trust the ghoul. The last time she saw him, he tried to sell her for parts. So, like, my thing is, do you think they've had the conversation of what the expectations are between them in terms of, we're both going to find your dad? And he kind of gives that speech, like, do you want to go meet your maker, right? But
Right.
what does that mean specifically when they find Hank? Do you think that they've had that conversation?
I'm not sure whether they have or whether they haven't.
Mhm.
Part of me thinks that maybe they have because, she's talking about him wanting to find his family and this kind of stuff. But I'm not sure that they've had an actual in-depth discussion of like, this is what I'm trying to get out of your father before you bring him to justice,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know if they've like laid it out like
Well,
that.
I think that they have to because she brought up his family a couple of times. So I think that she knows he's looking for his family and that her father is going to be the key to finding his family. I or else like I that is the implication that I am getting just because she at the very least she knows he's looking for his family.
Right,
And I'm assuming that Lucy's very book smart. So she has to know he's not just helping me because he's being super nice. She knows him well enough to know that that's not the case. So I would not be surprised if she is even if they haven't talked about it, that she's puzzled it out in terms of you're
right.
only helping me to get to my family. And so I'm curious if hypothetically Cooper does turn her over to her dad, is that even really a betrayal? Like, I feel like Lucy would, if they haven't discussed what the end game of, okay, when we meet, because it almost feels like, I feel like literally Cooper's going to let her figure out what to do with Hank after Cooper gets that information from,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And
Like, I really want the, like, if he turns her over to Hank, for it to be like a double cross and
yeah,
for her and Cooper to have planned with each other for, like, I'm going to turn you over to your dad. We're going to get the information we need out of him, and then you can do whatever you need to do to bring him to justice. And, like, I'll help you
yeah.
once I have what I need.
I also think that oh gosh, I just had the idea. But I think that they have to have had, because even Cooper says, like, I think it's episode two. I can't remember if it's episode one or episode two, but he's like, what are we gonna do when you get your dad? Are you gonna put a bullet in his knee and I'm gonna be the one that has to basically put him down? And again, like, to me, there's that implication of you get to control the situation, but at the same time, Cooper has to put down Hank, especially after
Right.
all of the destruction that he's gonna let Lucy do it, almost kind of like his what she did for her mom. And I think that that's a big trust from Cooper, but I also feel like even if it wasn't implicitly stated, we're only on this road trip because we both need each other to get to dad, essentially. I don't think that I just don't really see it as it can be a big betrayal, because why else would Lucy look at the ghoul and be like, "Oh, he's helping me." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it wouldn't make sense unless, again, the show does something. But anyway, okay.
I
So
think she's smart enough to use her context clues
yeah,
and the established patterns to figure out that, like, shit might go that way.
yeah. I mean, I just feel like, again, what are they gonna do? And Cooper has asked her multiple times. Other people have asked her, like, okay, we'll get into it when it happens, because it's gonna happen like a couple seconds. But anyway, um, so she says all of that, and then Rodriguez says, "Well, if you ever want to trade up the company you keep, the NCR always welcomes new recruits." And Lucy says, "I would, but I'm looking for someone." I feel like that hesitation, I think that Lucy's a shit liar, and I think that
Yeah.
this is her way of lying. Like,
Yeah, it's absolutely her way of lying because of what she says after they walk away from the NCR
oh
people,
yeah. Oh yeah.
which I
Um,
squealed and kicked my feet.
oh yeah, no. I was looking at my husband the second time because I watched the first, because he was, anyway, it was just I was just what I mean, he already knew. But okay, so Rodriguez says, common story around here, someone you care about or someone you hate. And then this is where Cooper says, "What a great question. What say you, Miss McLean?" I love when he calls her Miss McLean. Like, just
Like,
that southern drawl, like, oh my gosh.
it's so
Um,
hot.
and then Lucy says something very interesting, and she says, someone who hurt a lot of people. And I love that because it shows that that is still her dad. Like,
Right.
she still cares about him. And she hates to admit it, but she can't say, I hate him either, you know?
Yep.
Um, and then Rodriguez says, "Well, what do you plan to do with him once you find him?" And Lucy says, basically, "I'm going to bring him to justice." And I feel like we get Cooper in the background kind of smiling, like this is amusing to him.
Hmm.
Because this isn't the first time that she said something similar. Like, she wants to bring her dad to justice. And Rodriguez says, "Well, that's what the NCR was meant to be about, bringing justice to the wasteland. We almost did." And Lucy basically says, "I don't doubt it." And then Rodriguez basically gives her a gun. She's saying, "We're not going to be able to bring everything with us when we leave, so stock up." So that essentially tells me that Cooper did tell the true location, but he's warning them, "Hey, you guys have to go. They found out where you are," kind of.
Right. Like, you have to relocate because
Yeah.
you're compromised.
Um, and then so Lucy and the ghoul are basically walking off, and Lucy says they seemed nice, and the ghoul says, "You think they'd be nice if they found out what your daddy did?" And Lucy says, "I wasn't gonna stay if that's what you were worried about." all I saw in there was more matching jackets. And I swear, Chelsea, the way that Ella delivers this line was super flirty. Like it was
Yes.
super flirty. Like she wasn't defensive and she wasn't like Lucy matter of fact. There was a little smile on her face. Like it was almost like, well, I was gonna stay if that's what you were worried about. Like the implication that he was worried about it. You know what I
Right. And it
mean?
was so cute to me. Like it was adorable.
Well,
Like,
especially when she follows it up with all I saw in there was more matching jackets, and that to me that was okay. She learned the lesson. She is
yes.
willing to take what Cooper has to say about matching jackets. Like we don't have to conform to all of these different groups or societies. You are enough on your own. But like let me ask you, Chelsea, do you think Cooper was a little bit worried that Lucy was going to choose to stay with the NCR?
I think he might have been a little bit concerned. I think he might have been a little bit worried, and like that's why he's probing. And I love that she reassures him, and she does it in this fun, almost flirty kind of way.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like an elbow to the ribs, like you were gonna miss me, huh?
Yeah, no, 100%. Because the thing is, it's like she could have said anything else. Because Lucy has always been matter of fact. She literally goes up to Max and says, "Do you want to have sex?" She could have said something like, "Well, you and I still haven't found my father." Like she could have leaned on that as an excuse. Like, but she leans into, "Were you worried I was going to leave?" You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
the way that she says it, it was not matter of fact. It was playful. And like that was the flirt, like that was the thing for me. And I do agree because the NCR, out of all of the different groups that the show has shown me, because again, I don't play the video games, that would be the one that lines up with Lucy's ideals the most. She could find her dad with the NCR. They might have resources that Cooper doesn't. They might, like, they had clearly had ammo and guns and all of that, but they're good people trying to do good things. And that is literally Lucy to a T. So I think, even taking my shipper glasses off, I think there is a part of Cooper that was slightly worried because as they're walking away and Lucy says, "Oh, well, they seem nice," it felt like the way that Goggins delivers that line is a little defensive. Like he's like, "Well, you think they'd be nice if they found out the truth, if they found out what your dad did?" Um,
Right.
and I just felt like that whole scene, it was a way for Lucy to be humble and be like, "Look, I fucked up. I don't want to stay with any group or leave you anymore. Like I'm just going to trust what you have to say from now on." But just the way that the lines were delivered, you know what I mean? Like it just felt too playful to be anything but flirty, you know?
Right. Yeah, like that wasn't platonic playful to me.
No, no,
That
absolutely.
was the like that's the kind of way that me and Lake talk to each other.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
100. Like that's what that is the I still remember being middle school. Like that's the way you talk to your crush. Like, "Oh, did you miss me over the weekend?" or whatever. You know, like that's just how
Yeah.
you talk to your like the person that you like. Um so then we go to the Vaulties and okay, Chelsea, you have to forgive. I'm going to ask you so many questions during this just to get your take on these things. So basically they talk about like, okay, maybe my uncle and my aunt were related and that impacted me because, well, I'm so thirsty, blah 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 blah. The water cooler's empty and Reg is like, "Okay, let me take care of that. Keep going. This is great." Why do you think we're getting into this? Like, what is the deal with the incest? Like, in terms of like out of all the groups they could have done here? Like, why do you think that, like, do you think that the fact that it's pot, like, they're products of incest, do you think that that is supposed to mean something or has some kind of underlying message in it? Like, what's
I'm
your
not
take?
really sure. They like I think they are set up to be the biggest problem for Betty,
Yeah,
like bigger than any other problem they could have. And like right now, their group almost has like a bacchanal kind of feel to
yeah,
it, especially considering we do have these problems with the water chip and all of this kind of stuff. And like Betty did this to kind of like get Reg out of her hair and get things out of the way, but this could become a really big problem for Betty if she doesn't get these people and get Reg back in check. And I don't know how it ties into the like them being products of incest or whatever, but I just feel like it's setting it up for conflict between them and Betty and like maybe an uprising in
Right.
33.
That is what I was going to say too. I like setting the incest part aside. I love that we're just casually talking about incest. But I feel like you have, like you said, completely agree with what you were saying in terms of Betty's trying to get Reg out of her hair. So she's trying to appease him, signed off on the snack thing while they're trying to fix this water thing. So you have a group of people in 33 who are forced to not drink water or ration the water, the showers, the all of it. And then you have Reg and his group over here. No, you allowed me this. You gave this, so I'm going to take it. And it feels like it's an uprising, but also there's again a civil war potentially between the people of Vault 33 with the people who want the water but can't because they're following the protocol, and Reg and his group like not doing it either,
Mhm.
doing it. So um I just thought that that was really interesting because the Vaulties are supposed to be getting along, supposed to be following the rules, like that's what they're good for.
Right.
But this almost feels like potentially, like you said, an uprising or a civil war of some kind over this lack of a resource, you know?
Yeah.
But I love when Reg is like, going to get the water and this girl's like, nice jugs, Reg. Like that was just the humor that I'm loving. Like it's
That
just
was a really funny line.
and then Betty calls him out, like, where are you going? And Reg is like, what are you talking about? And, Betty's super condescending here. And she's just like, we can't be wasting resources on your little club right now. And Reg is like, well, you signed off on our budget. And I'll have you know, my little group is growing with numbers every week, unlike your approval rating. And again, we get a hint at a timeline, like, because we do see Reg's group growing. And now I'm like, how many fucking like, what's the timeline here? Like, I need to know, like, how many weeks have passed since Reg started his group because that will tell me how many weeks I just need to know. Like, I'm confused about the timeline here. And then he's
Right.
like, unlike your approval rating. And I was like, oh shit, Reg, like, whoa.
That was so snarky and adorable, and I loved it.
And then Betty's like, "Well, I'm putting in measures and you're giving extra rations." And he's like, "Or is it because the products of inbreeding community hasn't had a voice until now? We're a distinct subculture." And she's like, "You're a snack club." And he's like, "You're not taking this from me. Our snack budget is baked into the charter. Sorry." And then he just kind of walks off. Um, and so I don't know. I don't know if it's like the whole like inbreeding thing. I don't know. First, I want to say I'm glad that they didn't do something obvious like race or sexuality or anything like that. Like, I think inbreeding is interesting because it's like it doesn't matter like what age you are or what group you're from. It doesn't matter. Anyone can kind of, I don't want to say relate to it, but it feels much more inclusive than, if there's any like political messaging here. And I feel like it's so like wacky, but at the same time, it
Right.
fits full on with Fallout. And I prefer it because it doesn't take me out of the narrative because it's trying to preach anything. So it could just simply be that it's because it's so random and minuscule and ridiculous in a way that it works to make a point where if you interject, if it was like a sex thing, like a males versus females or a race thing or anything else, I think it
Right.
would definitely take you out of the narrative just with regardless of what side you're on, like just with the political messaging behind it. And this one does not have that charge on it. So I don't know if that's it or if there's some kind of, I mean, it might just be the symbolic, the sins of my father, which is clearly what Lucy's going through right now. And to a degree, really, possibly Janie. Like, what? is the ghoul slash Cooper doing to get back to her? And can he morally justify it because he's getting back to his daughter? And how is Janie going to carry all of that? No, like if she ever found out my dad had to do X, Y, and Z to find me, like that sort of thing. Um,
Right.
and the inbreeding is basically like more of a physical connotation of, well, I'm fucked up because my parents are related. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like a mirror of that theme of the sins of my father, but in a much more ridiculous and physical way versus like here's what he did and this is how I'm affected by it. It's more they're related and that affect, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense. So,
I think you are.
okay.
Like it makes absolute sense to me. And I do like it being like a wacky outlet for the recurring theme of the sins of the father
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
keep seeing here.
Yeah. Um, okay, so after that, we go back to Lucy and the ghoul. Lucy's very itchy, and she's just like, I feel like
She's tweaking hard.
she's so tweaking hard. And she's so cute because I feel like she's, again, we don't, and I don't know if this is off camera or if we're just assuming Lucy isn't going to apologize, the ghoul isn't going to apologize, but they both have come to an understanding. And so she's just much more talkative. And she's like, is it just me or is the air extra itchy today and heavy? The air is itchy and heavy. You ever feel that? All okay. This, Chelsea, you have to talk me down from my fucking shipper cliff, okay? When she's like, and also like hungry for not food. And the ghoul says, yes, I am very familiar with that feeling. Chelsea, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Like,
I can't talk you off the shipper cliff with that because I'm right there with you. Like
I'm like,
I'm halfway over the edge
like,
already.
what? Like, I was like, okay. I was like, okay, could he be talking about like, cannibal? Sure, but he would see it as food. So that is technically
Right.
food, like to him. I
Now, if you take the shipper goggles completely off, that could be like the craving for the drugs. Maybe. But like, eh.
I just feel hungry is the connotation for hunger is so much if it's not actual food, your mind goes to, oh gosh, I hope I'm not like revealing myself to be like dirty mind, but I feel like it automatically goes to sex
It
after
definitely does, at least
like
for me.
there, yeah, I mean I don't like for me, and this is someone who has never done drugs. Like I just don't see hunger and drugs. I feel like that's more of a desperation of like you desire
It's
sometimes
like
you
an itch you have to scratch.
yeah, like there's a desperation behind it versus food and sex, there's a desire behind it. Sometimes you don't want the drug, but you have to have it. And so I feel like hunger is a very interesting word that they've used. Um, so yeah, I'm like, I'm trying here. I am desperately trying not to be a shipper, but and the fucking way that Goggins delivers it, like what am I supposed to do with that too, Chelsea? Like he knew what he was fucking saying. He knew it.
He
Like,
did.
come
He
on.
is like the biggest chaos monster, and we love him for it.
Um, and then I love Lucy, and she's like, "What the fudge are you stopping for?" And then immediately, sorry, gosh, why am I suddenly so grumpy? Am I? I love her. Am I dying? Like, and she asks it in the cutest way possible. Like, I love Ella. I love all of this. And then
Yeah.
the ghoul's just like smirking the whole time, being a smug bastard. And he's like, "No, you ain't dying. You addicted to drugs." And she's like, "That's not possible." And he says 2 days on a steady drip of buff-fat'll do that to a body. Can we just pause here for a second? So that means the ghoul was literally waiting around for her to heal for 2 days. Like think about that for a second. Like, and you want me to think that they're not fucking that they're platonic? Come on. Come on now. Like, when would the ghoul ever stay in one place for 2 days unless it benefited him in some kind of way? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. And he
get
could still be lying to himself and telling himself that he needs Lucy to
yeah.
do what he's gonna do,
Right.
but like that's factually not correct.
Yes, absolutely. But it also reveals that, like, okay, here's my thing. What did it like? I think the NCR are good people and that they would help. But like, did Cooper have to do anything to get those drugs for Lucy? Like, was there some kind of exchange? Because I think he had
Right.
said nothing is free in the wasteland. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, so what's the cost?
what did it cost him? Because clearly 2 days of drugs, like that's not easy to come by. Like, did they have the drugs? Because when Rodriguez offers him the chems for himself, like there wasn't a lot there. And
Yeah.
like they just so happened to have, buff out. Did he have to go and get the medication for her? Like I have answers. I or questions. I have questions. I need answers for this. Like because this completely would it would be it would really solidify his attachment to her based on what he has done to get her healthy, you know?
Right. Right. And
Uh,
like I would love like this is another scene that I feel almost robbed that we didn't get to see like what he had to do to get her well and to get her healthy and like what he had to exchange with the NCR. Was it just a matter of like, hey, you guys are compromised, you're gonna have to move, I'm giving you this heads up as a courtesy, but I'm gonna need something from you. I need you to help her in
mhm.
exchange for me giving you this warning so you can get your shit together and get the fuck out before something bad happens.
Yes. And even on a more basic level, like I wanted to see how the NCR reacted to him carrying her up there. Like
Me
no.
too.
Yeah, like I want to know how Cooper responds when they ask him, "Who is this?" Like who is she and why are you helping her? And I feel we're specifically not getting those scenes because if we did, it would be endgame. Like it would be done, no one could argue with it. And so they're leaving it up to our imaginations because of the fact that if they put something in the canon, just think about that. It's like take off your shipper glasses and pretend you're Cooper Howard and you're fucking carrying this girl and needing to get her medicine, even if the NCR had the medication, even if the NCR gave him the medication for no reason. Like, you still have to answer the question of who is she and why are you helping her? And I feel like this is purposefully withheld so we can make our own insinuations and assumptions. Because if they put it doesn't even matter what they put, the way that he answers, he could answer anything and it would still lean towards romantic just
Right.
because of who he is, who they've set him up to be, and what he is doing specifically to get her help. So, anyway, that's just my take on that particular, you know, the whole NCR thing. But
Yes, I absolutely agree. And like I think you're right that they're withholding those scenes that we as shippers are wanting to see so they don't solidify that in the canon before they're ready to, if they're going to have the balls to actually go there and make them in game.
yeah. And then Lucy's so funny. She's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna quit drugs. And then she's like, what do you got there? Oh gosh, it didn't take. I'm still addicted to drugs. But this is such a good character growth for Lucy because then she's like, what do I do? She doesn't fall back on her like learning or her books or what would my dad do in this situation or anything like that. She goes to Cooper and says, what should I do? And the ghoul tells her, well, there's two schools of thought. One, you muscle your way through it. It's a lot of pain, vomiting. You can't do much, but just lay there and write it out. And Lucy asks, well, how long does that take? And Cooper says 4 or 5 days. And he explains, in my experience, the alternative is the only way to go. And she says, what's the alternative? And he's like, do more drugs. And I just want to stop here because the fact that she's going to him asking his opinion and really listening to him, I feel like and I don't know if this was done with intention, but it just felt like such a character growth moment for her. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, like because before I think she would have been in denial, she would have resisted, she would have like been like you're trying to corrupt me, you're trying to take advantage, like not advantage in a sexual way, but like you want me addicted to drugs, like you want me, to punish me or whatever. And but she's genuinely listening to him. And I love Lucy's rationalization. She's like, well, I know this isn't good for me, but stopping my dad from doing whatever he's doing is for the greater good. So even though I want it, I'm mostly doing it for other people. So that's what I'd want others to do for me. So give me the drugs. Like it was a very selfish golden rule that kind of, she was right. Like it was selfish, but it also helps the greater good?
Yep.
So, I just thought it. But Chelsea, let's pause here and talk about the way the ghoul is looking at her during this scene. I know that we will get more into the Kings. Don't worry about the wink. But like even just here, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. There's a fondness in
yes,
his expression.
yes.
Like he's enjoying her company despite the fact that she's tweaking like a son of a bitch.
I think he's amused. I think that he is like, I am here to watch you fall apart, and I will love every single second of it. I also think that he genuinely enjoys her coming to him and asking for his opinion. Like I think that because I think that there's also that trust of because she golden ruled it and he knows that part of it is she is addicted to drugs. So she's trying to rationalize wanting more drugs and making it make sense for her. And he could be a dick and he could say, where's your golden rule? Like this is not very golden rule of you, or why, like why do you get to pick and choose when the golden rule works for a selfish reason versus not like all of this stuff. But he really doesn't do
Right.
that.
He bites his tongue. He
Yeah.
doesn't like there's a lot of things that he could say to be an asshole right here, and he's actively choosing to not be an asshole.
Yeah, I think part of it is because he's amused and he wants to see, okay, how much can I get away with here in terms of how tweaked out is she gonna be? Because this is gonna be hilarious that Miss Goody Two Shoes over here is gonna get on some drugs. And I think he definitely wants to see that more than he wants to really make a point in an asshole kind of way. Uh,
Yep.
and you tell me that they're not fucking like get the fuck out of here with that. But anyway, okay.
I know, right?
Um, Okay. So then we go back to the Brotherhood. And apparently the Elder Cleric's looking for Max. And so this is interesting. So Dane meets Max and Thaddeus. They are explaining, things are pretty tense with that Xander guy showing up. And then they are kind of frustrated because, they're like, what the hell? Did you just disappear with Xander? And Max is completely honest. He's like, well, it was just a hunting trip. Thaddeus is like, whoopsie daisy, I can't see my feet. And Dane immediately clocks it. They're like, no, this is not like, what did you do? And Max is like, I did the right thing, but Xander's dead. Like, he did not hesitate. There's implicit trust right there. Like, that Max knew that no matter what happened, like, Dane was not going to fuck him over. Like, there is a trust
Right.
there. Um, but Dane says, like, the Commonwealth are going to kill us all. And Max is like, unless I can stop it. Like, he still wants to make this right. And I love that for him.
Right.
But Dane calls him out, like, okay, how are you going to do that? Like, hey, when you tell Quintus that you killed the emissary to the Commonwealth, he's going to slit your throat. And Max is like, okay, I have a plan for that, but I just need you to get all the kids out of the way. I need you to get them somewhere safe. And Dane says, okay, well, what are you going to do? And again, there's that trust of, I'm going to kill Quintus. Max just tells them that, like, I'm going to kill Quintus. Um, and then we obviously see Thaddeus. We need a little break from all of this tension, and he's just being Thaddeus. Like, let's be honest. We see a lot, like we see some pasta stuff, or not pasta, but Thaddeus is being Thaddeus. And then it jumps over to Norm and the Maltese. And they talk, I guess they're eating pasta out of the box, like dried pasta, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Which not gonna judge. I've done that before.
Yeah, so Norm's all like, conserve as much as you can. We don't know how long. Like he's trying to be the smart guy. And he kind of goes over to Claudia because Claudia's looking at this bridge and he's like, he's very, very perceptive. but he's also very good at kind of being the underdog in order to get information. And I feel
Yeah.
like there's, I don't know, Chelsea, what do you think? Like, do you think Norm was being genuine in what he was saying to Claudia, or do you think there was a little bit of, I'm going to seem genuine, but the truth is, I've noticed you're kind of a weaker link, and I'm going to try to get information out of you. Like, what do you think?
I think as Hank's son, I think there's a little bit of the like smelling the weak link and like trying to get information there. Not necessarily for malicious reasons, but just like in order to survive.
I think um Lucy was the perfect daughter for Hank because she did her duty and she loved her dad and did everything her dad wanted her to do. And I think Norm is like Hank. You get what I'm saying? Like no,
Hmm.
like yeah. And okay, so Norm is basically talking to Claudia and she's like, I drove that bridge a week ago, you know? Um and Norm says, where were you going? And she says, a job interview at Vault Tech. And so it almost seems to imply that the job themselves is just to get cryogenically frozen because she didn't even work at Vault Tech really before the bombs dropped. What
Right.
what's your take on that?
Like, I think she may have been like the newest, lowest rung on the managerial ladder. And
Yeah.
then the decision was made, like, we're gonna drop the bombs ourselves and let's get all of Bud's buds somewhere safe
Yeah,
before we do that.
that makes sense. Um, and then we have Ronnie come in and he says, hey, boss, now that we've found food, it's time for phase two. And so there's an implication that Ronnie kind of has an idea of not only what's going on, but what should happen next. And Norm's very cunning about this whole thing. He immediately clocks Ronnie and he's like, well, what's your name? And Ronnie tells him. And Norm basically puts him in his place and he's like, I decide the next steps. And,
I think Norm's gonna have to kill Ronnie at some point.
I think he is. I think he just needs Ronnie because it's clear Ronnie knows stuff too, and Norm wants to know what Ronnie knows first, I think.
Yep.
Because Ronnie's like, I know you're the boss. I know you call the shots. Just thought I'd introduce myself. I was Bud's personal assistant. And Norm at first, like, he's like, I don't give a shit. He's like, so? And Ronnie's like, well, let's just say I was the guy who took the lunch orders when Bud was meeting with the Vault investors, future on Enterprise Ventures, the whole plan for Vault 32 and 33. And Norm, this kind of makes him pause and he's like, what do you know about that? Because I think genuinely Norm has no idea, but he knows something was going on and he wants that
Right.
information. And Ronnie's just trying to brush it off. Like he's like, well, like I said, I just got the lunch orders, but I do know that phase two is very important. It's time to get going, right? And that's when Norm backs off and he knows he's going to have to let Ronnie play lead in order to get this information because he's like, lead the way. And Ronnie's like, all right, guys, boss said it's time to move. And then they kind of like move off. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So then we go back to the vault and we see Woody this time, and he's like super confused. I think it's Vault 32, right? Did they go to Vault 32 or
Yes,
30?
from 33 to 32.
Yes.
And everything's backwards.
Yes, everything's backwards. And then we see Davy. Oh my gosh. I love Davy. And um, they talk about who hasn't mixed up our lefts and rights, especially these days. And poor Woody, he's trying to get the hang of this. And then Davy says, yesterday I walked in on the women's men's room. There was nobody in there, but that had been oof. And then Woody's like, yeah, disaster. And Davy says, what I wouldn't give to go back to 33. And so again, I feel like here we're supposed to be getting that, Woody is just confused because it's going to set up the next scene. But I also think we have people starting to they want to go back to 33 to
Right.
the point where things are happening where like you said, there's kind of an uprising, maybe kind of starting to stir to the point where like if they find out that the water is going to be like rationed, if they're gonna like get all of this, they're not gonna be happy. They're already not happy that they had to move to 32, and so I
Yeah.
think that this is only building up from there. um yeah, so then we basically see this conversation between Steph and Betty. Like, what was your initial reaction to this conversation, Chelsea?
Like, I am just really amused and loving the whole, like, we're kind of enemies and I'm not taking your shit anymore now that I'm the overseer of my own vault
Mhm.
vibe between Steph and Betty.
It makes me wonder, what their relationship was like pre-bomb. Like, were they kind of had to, like, did they
I
have,
feel like they were contentious
yeah, okay.
because of one of the lines that Betty said. I can't remember exactly what the line is. She said something about putting their history aside. And so I feel like they were contentious pre.
Yeah, Steph said we've always had different ideas on how to do that, thus like trying to survive. Um, and then you're right. Betty says, I appointed you overseer based on the understanding that we would support each other perhaps better than we've supported each other in the past. So there is that like there's a history there. And then if you guys are watching for the writing, like this dialogue where they say things but don't actually say things is such a masterclass because like you're picking up that there are issues at the same time, they're not just spelling it out. Like Chelsea and I are talking about like what potential issues are, but it makes sense that your characters, they already know each other's issues. They don't need to spell it out for the reader. And this is why this is like masterclass in dialogue just by itself because it's within they stay in character, but they're also not info dumping or they're saying things that it wouldn't make sense for them to say. So, um I really like that. Um,
Like that whole conversation did a whole lot of work and like it's really incredible the way it was done.
and I love Steph. She's just like, I have to think about my baby now, Betty. It's all that matters. And it's like, oh gosh, Steph, do you even remember that you had a boy? Like, let's
Right? Like,
and Betty basically says, I woke up 40 years ago. And so I'm wondering, like, it makes me think Steph and Betty were the same age, but they just woke Betty up first.
yeah.
And she's like, I've learned a lot in that time, what matters, what doesn't matter. The company we work for isn't coming to save us. This community and how we conduct ourselves in it, that is all we have. And so it feels like it's not that she's anti-Vault Tech, it's just that I feel like she thinks that she knows that Vault Tech isn't coming back. And so she wants to save the community. I almost feel like like she agrees with how Hank handles things. Like it is very much community first. We have to do what's best for the greater good, essentially. And it's very diplomatic, very democratic. Like let's vote on these things, let's do all of that. Um, and I think that she's realizing that Vault-Tec isn't all it's cracked out to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then Steph mentions a keepsake box, something from before the war that Hank brought with him to 31. It's locked, but if you bring me that box, I'll consider giving you access to our water. And Betty says what's in it, and Steph says something personal. What are your thoughts there, Chelsea? What do
Right?
you think
Like,
it could be?
did you catch the same vibe that I did here? And I may just be making shit up in my head because I'm crazy, but it really felt like maybe Steph and Hank had some kind of affair before the vault.
I'm just wondering, like, okay, because we're gonna get into it when we see the reporting, but like the whole Canada thing. And I don't know if
Right?
that has anything to do anyway, but we'll get into it in a little bit. But it's more like I don't know if I got the vibes. I think that there had to have been some kind of relationship between Steph and Hank.
Right? And like,
Because
what kind
Hank,
of relationship are they having? Why does he have something personal of hers in his keepsake box?
and on top of that, Hank would not trust just anyone to be best friends with his daughter. Like he
Right?
was making sure that Steph and Lucy hung out. Now, whether that's because he saw Steph as a good influence, there's clearly an implied trust there then. So I think there was definitely something going on. I don't know if I'm at the point where it's romantic, but the fact that she says it's something personal versus anything else, like, oh, it's something specific for 31 or it's something technical or whatever. It
Right?
just,
Or is it going to come back to the incest thing somehow? Like,
yeah. I don't know. That's and so like that's kind of where I was at. Like, okay, personal is an interesting word to use. And the way that she hesitates when she's it's personal. Like, like for bad bitch Steph
it
to
feels
act,
weird.
yeah, have reacted that way, it was kind of weird. So then Betty says you're holding us hostage, and Steph brushes it off like hostage is an overused word. And Betty says, I don't think you appreciate how bad things could go down here. And Steph says, with all due respect, Betty, you're from Solvang. You have no idea how bad things can get. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot of work to do. What the hell is solving? I'm gonna like,
I would love to know.
okay, so it looks like a town it's just a town in California, I guess. Um, apparently it's a Danish culture town in Santa Ynez Valley. Okay, so it's like wine cellars mixed with European bakery shops. So basically cozy. Like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're from Solvang. Okay. Um, but then we'll see where Steph's from. And that's probably why she's saying all of this. Um, and Betty basically says if you don't help us, there's not going to be a 33. I think she's already seeing a little bit of like uprising potential. Like she,
I I think that Steph is hoping that there's like an insurrection in 33 and that they take each other out, and then there's another vault with resources that she and 32 could plunder.
yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree with that. And let's see. I just yeah, so and then Steph basically says like, well, the experiment's over. We have to make our own decisions now. And I'm wondering if she's completely acting like based on her own beliefs, or I'm going to use this word, but it's not the way that it's going to come out. Did Hank kind of groom her into these beliefs? And I don't mean anything sexual or even inappropriate, but did he essentially, not raise her because obviously when she's going to come out the age that she is from cryo, but more of like is there some kind of relationship between Hank and Steph, whether it's sexual or not, romantic or not, but does she follow him because she believes what he believes? Like, is she kind of acting on his behalf now? Or is it Betty that like it's just you get what I'm trying to
Right.
say here? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So then we flash over and they're basically at the strip, Ghoul and Lucy. And the ghoul already knows something's off. And he says it, something's off. And Lucy's just trying to joke, oh, expecting a welcoming committee. And he's like, yeah, I was. And Lucy's like, oh. And then so he gets his little telescope out and he's like, "Well, shit." And she's like, "What?" And then I think she smacks his back, right? Like, "What?" And she's like, "Sorry." And I loved it. I because somebody pointed out on Tumblr like I don't think anyone touched the ghoul like purpose like with intention. We can obviously we have our own like backstories, like our own, canons of what the ghoul was doing for 200 years. But like without a mutual exchange of, if you go into the camp that of course he had sex, of course he has needs, whatever. Some like Lucy touching him like that in a very like the way that you would smack your friend. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
on, buddy, like what the fuck? And again, like I'm not saying that it's completely like romantic, at least that movement right there, but it is something you would do for someone you're comfortable with, for someone that you like. I'm not gonna touch somebody I'm afraid of like that. I'm sure as shit not gonna touch, anyone else, but I might do that to my friend. I'll definitely
Right.
do it to my husband, like
I think it's important that Lucy is doing this and touching him in this way
yeah,
when her inhibitions are lowered
yeah. That's
because she's tweaking, because she's on drugs. And that shows her comfort level with him.
yeah. Yeah,
especially when her inhibitions have been lowered.
right. And I love that she immediately apologizes. Like she says sorry. And this is like obviously not the first time, that she's apologizing, but it to me it shows that she's treating him like a human. Like she sees him as a human regardless of what he looks like or what he is or what he represents to other people. Like and we'll talk about the line that comes up in a little bit, but I like that she apologizes to him.
I do
Um,
too.
and so the ghoul says, well, it's going to be a little hard to explain. We should go in through the east side of town, a place called Freeside, good place to stock up on supplies, only about a half day's detour. And what's interesting is when I was in the Tumblr threads, from what I understand, and again, I'm just picking this up. I could be completely wrong, so feel free to correct me in the comments. Just please be nice about it. I'm sensitive. Um, Freeside is like him. Okay, because obviously they kind of see a little bit of the kings, um, but Freeside is more for her benefit than his because he like for the most part ghouls leave each other alone from what I understand about the lore of ghouls, and even we can look at Lucy's little her little adventure with the ghouls in this particular episode. Um,
Right.
and so the fact that it's kind of completely clear. Like, again, this is Cooper Howard. I mean, or the ghoul, or whatever you want. This is the bounty hunter. For him to kind of be a little bit concerned, my question is, are you concerned about yourself, or are you concerned that something could possibly happen to Lucy because she doesn't have your regenerative healing abilities that you do? And so the fact that he wants to go a whole half a day out, again, that sidetrack, whatever, it almost feels like if he's doing that specifically to make sure that she is safe, because what else at this point would he be afraid of? Because he doesn't, like, we're going to find out at the end what, he is actually afraid of, but he doesn't know that that is there yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
so to me, it was more of like, okay, something feels weird. I don't trust it. Let's go this way. Um,
Because it's safer,
because it's safer
specifically for you.
for you. Exactly. Whereas Cooper, I feel like the Cooper or the ghoul that we know basically would be cautious. But if he's by himself, there's no way in hell he's going to some random, some like to Freeside, in my opinion. He wants to get Hank, he wants to get his family. He seems very gung-ho about it. He would kind of keep an eye on it probably for a couple of hours, see what the hell's going on, and then make his way through because he doesn't necessarily have that same fear of, oh, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like this whole suggestion was something isn't right and I don't want to risk her.
Yes.
And
That's
again,
how it read to me too.
yeah, and again, you can argue, well, he doesn't obviously want to risk her because she's a tool and both. Fine, fuck off, whatever. But then you have to fucking tell Goggins to play it differently because that look on his face, like that concern, like, you know what I mean? Um, and Lucy's so funny. She's like, no, my dad is right there. I am done with all of the sidetracks and the detours. I say we just run on through. Who fudging cares? And I know that's the drugs talking, and Cooper will say this too. But again, it felt like another apology that wasn't an apology. Because let's be real, Lucy is the reason for all of the sidetracks.
Yep.
And she's basically saying, okay, I'm done behaving that way. And then the ghoul's like, that's the drugs talking. And then we have fucking truth be told, I like what they're saying. Fucking hell, Chelsea, how do I take my shipper glasses off for that line? Like
You can't.
you
You
I
can't.
can't. I cannot. I
It's
cannot.
not possible.
Someone tell me what he could possibly what is it, guys? Like all of you antis, like tell me why did he say that? Is he just think
Right?
it's
And
funny
not
that
just
this
why did he say that,
yeah.
but why did he say it the way he said it?
Oh my gosh. I know. I know. And I feel like he was clearly looking at her while he was following her, while he was smirking like, "Yep, I'm gonna get into some shit and I don't even care right now." Like he was so concerned 15 seconds ago. about safety. And now he's ready to walk right back in. You know he has the ability to lasso her up and drag her ass to Freeside. But he's like, fuck it, Lucy. You lasso me up, I'll fucking follow you anywhere and I will say thank you. Spit in my face and I will thank you for it. That's literally what he's saying right now.
Yep.
You can't convince me otherwise because it's like he didn't need to say that line. Like, okay, sure, he could just be Cooper Howard, like make a smug little Walton Goggins comment that he's so good at me. Like, but that wouldn't like unless there is something there that he genuinely again feels he wants to take her to free side, but then he sees her tweaked out on drugs, ready to fucking kill, like burn the world down, and he's like I just can't, Chelsea. Like
The
I
vibes are very like somebody's gonna fuck or fight, like
yeah.
right here. And like I'm going along for the ride either way.
Yes, and he's gonna be fine either way. And so okay, let me get your take on this because again, Tumblr is my best friend. There was a yodel in episode 2 or 3, and I heard that one was Ella's and one was Goggins. I'm gonna look this up, but I'm gonna look this up really quick. But while I do that, I need you to tell me your take on that scene, like in terms of the shipping, the concern, the amusement, it almost felt, I don't want to say sexual, but like very flirty, but like almost possessive. Like, I like what they're saying. Like, what's your take on that whole scene?
Like as a dark romance girly, like I feel like it's very sexually loaded and like, the chemistry is there, the the vibes are there, and it does read kind of like possessive and flirtatious, and I'm like it's very a Southern man thing to me of like you're about to get us in some shit, but fuck it, let's go. Like is the vibe that I get from it, and that might just be because I'm married to a Southern man. It's
I
you
mean,
know
yeah, no, I
a
know.
little bit on the rough and ready side, and like I don't I it just I can't read it any other way than with my shipper goggles on, because yes, he's concerned for her. Yes, he's like maybe we should do this the safe way, and then when he sees that she's like the drugs have her just ready to go and we're done with the bullshit, he's along for the ride no matter what. He is on board, and he's like I love the way he's watching her
Yeah,
in this scene,
yeah,
and just like the attention that he's giving her and the way that he's giving her agency within this scene, because he is letting her run the fucking show right now.
yeah. Okay, so I kind of found it. So apparently, season 1 Golden Rule, the yodel played in sync with season 2, episode four's yodel. And I guess, and this is like a shout out to Steph on X. I guess the Twitter handle is right by the C side with like a letter C. But anyway, I get like that's interesting because it's almost like they're synchronizing. It's like you're matching if this is true, if this is and it's a callback yodel, and that's sort of like the yodel is the ghoul's theme, but they're playing it right now. I mean, that
And
is
playing it while Lucy is in charge
yeah,
and like actively blowing shit up,
yeah.
basically.
So we get our introduction to the Kings, and Lucy's not in the mood to talk. She basically like is like, so hear me out. My partner and I, okay, we will get back to that really quick. My partner and I, and then what Cooper Howard does the like head tilt, like the hat thing, like we're just gonna go on through and we don't want any. And we get some growling, and Lucy basically like shoots one, and it's like, is that a mare's head? It's the same gun the ghoul uses, right? In season 1, if
I
I
think I think you're right.
okay. And she's like, "Whoa," because of the power. I love that she uses partner. She doesn't
Yes.
use friend. I feel like partner is much more in depth and complex.
And partner is also a much more intimate word.
Yes. And the ghoul again doesn't correct her, again, lets her take control, lets her do whatever. Um, why do you think she uses the word partner?
I don't know, but I love the amount of implicit trust and intimacy that's there in the word partner.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cooper's just
And
hanging out.
for me, this scene reads very Rip and Beth when Beth is in like tornado, I'm gonna fuck some shit up mode.
Yeah.
And he's just there and he's gonna back her up no matter what.
He's not gonna be happy about it, but he's gonna back her up.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Or he's gonna be like, look, just shut your mouth, don't touch me, and get the fuck out of the bar because you do not want what's gonna come to you if she finds you touching me like this.
I love that you know exactly what scene I was
Yes,
referring to.
of course. Okay. Um, so the second she shoots that first ghoul, she starts shooting everyone. And when I was talking about the whole ghoul lore, like if you look, the ghouls want nothing to do with Cooper. Like they don't really care about him.
Right?
They're
And they're not
only,
acknowledging him.
no, they're only after Lucy. Um, and then we get Cocaine Blues, obviously. But she's like shooting everybody. Um, even one takes her down. I really wish, honestly, and again, they didn't.